Verde Valley Humane Society. Today we're going to be talking to their executive director, their CEO, and find out why so many dogs and cats are returned to the Humane Society. Stay tuned, some great information coming up. Here I am with Cindy, the CEO of the Verde Valley Humane Society. We're going to take a look outside, Cindy. I want to see some of the dogs you have here. And then later on we're going to talk about why did these dogs wind up here, why are they still here, and what we can do to find better homes for them. So let's take a walk outside. Let's take a look at some of the dogs that we have. And I noticed that almost everyone is full. And these dogs look like they're maybe a year old, or 2 years old, or 3 years old. Do you find it's easier to find homes for the puppies than it is for the older guys? So an adorable guy like this, hi sweetheart, a cutie like this would have a much more difficult time to find a home. Do you know offhand why he was here? Just as a stray dog. And no one came to claim it. So as far as whoever owned it before you was concerned, so be it.
So be it.
Unbelievable. Hi, sweetheart. Let's take a look at another one. Hi, Mushy. Great. Every one of these dogs just wants some type of attention. That's all they want. And as we walk around, every single Hi, sweetheart. Hi. Yeah. Now, some people would have said that dog's aggressive. He's behind the cage. He's never seen me.
He doesn't know you.
I would bark and growl at me. He's adorable. And look at this guy. Whitey, what are you doing, Whitey? Hi, sweetheart. You want to get kisses? There's no reason that this dog should not have one.
No reason
No reason that this dog should not have one. You know what? Let's go inside. Let's talk about some of the reasons why these dogs were turned in or why they were picked up as strays. Then we're going to take a look at some puppies. And I'm going to give you some ways that a lot of the behavioral problems that people have are just an excuse. But I'm going to talk about ways to resolve some of those problems as well. So let's go inside. Great dog care. You guys keep this place so immaculately clean. So I've been to humane societies and shelters, and this place is, the dogs are happy, their water bowls are full, the kennels are cleaned out. Makes it a lot easier.
That's right.
On the dogs. And
That's
what's
my
important.
staff.
There you go. And as you can see, I am just full of puppies. Cindy has one there. Now, Cindy, when people come to a Humane Society and they see a group of puppies like this, the puppies pretty much find homes most of the time, the kittens.
They're the easiest ones to be adopted, are the young ones.
Are the young ones. How often do you find, though, that when a person adopts a beautiful dog, like one of these guys, and then 6 months down the road, they bring the dog back. They don't want the dog anymore because it's peeing on the floor or it's chewing. Do you find an awful lot of people that adopt a puppy wind up returning the puppy because of behavioral problems?
Exactly. And it's always the animal's fault.
Yeah, and then what happens is, as you said, adopting a guy like this, and these dogs are about, what, 6 weeks old, adopting a puppy like this, and then bringing it back 6 months later, it's a lot more difficult to find a home for a 7 or 8 month old dog than it is for a 6 or 7 week old dog. And I guess people don't understand that once they bring a dog into their life, it's their commitment to take care of it, and if it has a physical problem, or if it has a psychological problem, it's up to them to resolve it.
Exactly. You know, it's like our motto is adopt for life.
Yeah, well, when people bring a dog back in, and I know it's got to be a sad part for you, it's a smile when they leave, and what goes in one door, and then another one comes in, so it's a never-ending problem for you. But what are some of the more common behavioral problems that you encounter, reasons for people bringing their pets back? Besides, it's too big, or the one I hear all the time is, my dog, all of a sudden they have allergies. Never had allergies in their life, but all of a sudden they have allergies. Do you hear that a lot?
We hear allergies a lot, especially with the cats. The behavior issues we hear are the housebreaking. They can't get them housebroken.
Yeah.
The barking, the uncontrollable barking. And I watched a lady come in one time. She sat down in our older building, and she had the dog with her. And I had no idea where she was, why she was there. And I watched. And I knew before she even had her turn, she was there to return the dog.
Jeez.
Because it was uncontrollable.
I don't understand the concept. And yeah, maybe I'm a little eccentric. Heaven forbid I should be eccentric, but maybe I am a little eccentric. But my feeling is this. When you bring any living thing into your house, there's going to be problems, and it's up to you to work on those problems and resolve them. First of all, you're married, I'm married. No marriage is perfect. You have to work on a marriage, just like you have to work on a puppy or a kitten. Now, a prime example, housebreaking. Let's talk about housebreaking. You know, I work with humane societies all over the United States and Canada, and you're absolutely right. Housebreaking is probably one of the biggest reasons people return their dogs. And the bottom line is, there is not a dog in the world that is physically healthy that cannot be housebroken in 12 to 14 days. The problem is, people don't know what they're doing, and they listen to a little advice here and a little advice there, and they confuse the dog. Let me give you an example with housebreaking. Here's the biggest mistake I find out. My dog peed on the floor, and I said, what did you do to clean it up? And he said, well, we went to the cupboard and we got Mr. Clean to clean it up. Well, Mr. Clean contains ammonia. So does dog's urine and dog's poop. So in reality, from the dog's point of view, you're putting down the same odor you're trying to lift, enticing the dog again. So housebreaking the dog is real easy. What other problems, though? How about chewing?
Oh, that's a huge problem.
Yeah, you run into that a lot.
Yes, I've heard them, say that the dog chewed the blinds,
Yeah.
and chewed the sofa.
Yeah, well, that's what dogs do. People don't realize that a dog's mouth is our hands. And when they investigate, like young children investigate with their hands, young puppies investigate with their mouth. That's why it's so important to puppy-proof a house. But there's only 4 basic reasons why a dog will chew. Either they're teething, which is exactly what these puppies are doing right now. So what would you do for teething? Here's what I tell people. Usually what they'll do is they'll give the dog an old sock or an old shoe to play with. The dog doesn't know if it's a new shoe or an old shoe, so that's a bad thing. But these dogs, these little puppies, their gums hurt now. Their teeth hurt now. Their milk teeth, their mouth is in pain. If it was an infant, you go to the drugstore, you buy a frozen teething ring, pop it in the freezer, and give it for the dog to chew on. So what I recommend for teething puppies is take their toys. If you're a good cook, put a little gravy on it. If you're not a good cook, put a little peanut butter or cheese whiz on it. Pop some of the puppy's toys in the freezer and give them the frozen toys to play with. It'll help eliminate some of the pain in their mouth when they're going through teething. And the other problem with chewing is lack of exercise, no mental stimulation. They go out and they give the dog 1 or 2 toys. They don't realize that they should rotate the toys consistently. And let's take another problem, digging. I'm sure you hear digging also. If you were to come into my backyard, my dogs have their own sandbox. I know that may sound crazy to a lot, but I also like to grow things. So in my backyard, I have a little plastic kiddie pool. It's the Flintstones, that's what they asked for. And I filled it with sand, and I buried their toys in there, and I went in there and teased the heck out of my dogs. Both of my dogs, by the way, adopted strays. And I dug in there, and they got so angry watching me dig that they go in there, and for the first week I put new toys in there, and now that's the only place in my backyard that they dig is in their little area so I can have my garden. But yet other people would give up their dog because the dog's digging a hole by their petunia.
Exactly.
I take a dog over petunia any day of the week, but people need to realize if you don't give dogs options, if you don't teach them right from wrong, then it's not their fault that they don't know how to do something. But what are some of the other reasons that you get people turning their dogs?
That they don't get along with the other animals in their home. That's a big one. It's not convenient.
You know, you're right. And with cats, let's talk cats for a second. There are more multiple cat households in the country than there are multiple dog households. Actually, there are more dog households, but more cats, because a lot of people that have cats have 1, 2, 6, 12, 18, 20, whatever. One of the reasons we find with cats is people want to introduce a new cat to their household, and their other cat doesn't accept it. And I explain to them, you know, if another man came into my garage and picked up my drill, it's on. We're fighting right then and there. But if I knew the other guy and I was introduced to him and became friendly with him, he could use whatever he wanted. So are you familiar with the term scent swapping?
Yes.
That's what I do with cat people. In some cases, I'll actually bring a stuffed animal that looks like a cat, rub it on a cat, let the cat in the house live with it for a while. So when you actually make that introduction, it makes all the difference in the world. And then also, what I'll do is I won't give them more food, but I'll feed each kitten or each cat out of 2 or 3 bowls, so there's no possessiveness over food. Give them individual time, and make the older cat think that the greatest thing that ever happened was the arrival of the new cat. So I think the bottom line is that I've yet to hear a behavioral problem that would really cause someone that really wants a pet to give them up. Do you ever get like the dog got too big?
All the time.
Really? Well, I don't
And it's
understand
like
that.
taking this puppy right now. How big is it going to get? Well, we don't really know yet. You know, we know it's not going to be a Chihuahua puppy.
Yeah, exactly.
But we know it's going to get good size, but we can't give you an exact size.
And the other thing is the concept of socializing. People don't realize that the majority of dogs that wind up at shelters are under-socialized. You talk about aggression. And very often, when someone will say to me, Warren, I want to bring a second dog into my household, and they say, I'm just going to go to the shelter, adopt a dog, and bring them home. Good luck.
Right.
I always tell people, first of all, introduce them on neutral territory. Never introduce them where one of the dog lives, because that's going to be a territorial challenge right there. So I introduce them on neutral territory, always end on a positive note. again giving the older pet more time than ever before. And eventually they're going to get along with each other. Sometimes people just try way, way too hard. You know, here's my feeling. This is the reason why I wanted to talk to you today and come to the Verde Valley Humane Society. Because you guys are what I consider a middle America Humane Society. Suffering every day, trying to raise funds to keep things going. And yet we walk around here and you have 2 buildings full of dogs, cats that need homes.
Exactly.
And you're trying everything to get them. But here's the question. People will say, how could the Verde Valley Humane Society not have money? I see the ASPCA, the Humane Society, all these big organizations, they raise millions of dollars. Doesn't that money funnel down to you?
Absolutely not. That is a misconception. It has been for years. People just don't understand that we don't get funded by those organizations. We're like on our own.
So in other words, what you would be saying to people, you know, running this organization and dealing with them. And we had, by the way, folks, just so you know, these puppies are 6 weeks old, but in the back, there's a mom who just recently had a brand new litter of puppies. I didn't want to bring out because I didn't want to stress the mom out. But that's what you deal with. I mean, people bring in their dogs pregnant. Spaying and neutering. Do you help with spaying and neutering? Do you have low-cost spaying and neutering here?
Yes, we try to bring down Second Chance's mobile unit, Pledgeland Land. We've asked to be put on their schedule once a month. It's been hard for them to be able to do that, but we have another low-cost spay neuter clinic coming on April the 7th.
And it's all a matter of finances too. For example,
Exactly.
if you as a smaller organization were able to raise more money, then you would be able to help a lot more people spay and neuter their pets, which ultimately, my goal is to put you out of business, and you'd probably be the happiest person on the unemployment line.
And that's so very true. But no matter how much room we have, the animals keep pouring in
They
the
just
door.
keep coming and coming.
Yes.
How about the economy? In the last couple of years, you know, and again, working with so many rescue and humane groups, everyone's inundated, everyone's full. Do you find the economy is really affecting you?
Yes, especially this past year. We have people that have pulled up out front, literally packed to move with their truck full and then their U-Haul full and sobbing at the front desk because they have to give their pet away.
See, now personally, just this is between me and you, and I'm not criticizing anyone. I would live in a lean-to before any of my
That's what we
pets would
said.
go anywhere.
A
It's
tent.
just the way it is. But here's what I don't understand. You have organizations that have a lot of money, and yet when a person turns a dog in here, it costs you a lot of money to keep that dog.
Exactly.
So if it's a matter of dollars and cents, wouldn't it almost be smarter to maybe help the person with some food and some veterinary costs than it is just to take their dog, which is going to wind up having a difficult time finding a home anyway?
Exactly, except for recently, we've really come into issues with, they're giving up their homes and they have to rent, and people don't want animals. That's what we're seeing the most of right now.
Well, you know, that's an interesting, I was just working on some legislation that they're trying to pass in the state of California in San Francisco. I'm not a big fan of San Francisco, but you can pass any law in San Francisco, okay? And what they were trying to do is give people that had apartments or houses for rent a tax break if they would rent to people that would spay and neuter their pets. So for example, if a person wanted to rent, if you have a spayed or neutered dog or cat, they will rent you and they will get a tax break from the government, because otherwise you're going to wind up having to pay for that as a shelter or a humane society. So I think that's a great idea. That's something we're going to see more of. And then I just started hearing about landlords that realize that 60% of us now have pets, and if they want to rent, they may have to rent to people with pets. But I saw the headline. This is the definition of a real fixer-upper. It's an apartment building that's being built now where you can bring your dog in only if it is spayed and neutered. It's a rule of the building, only spayed and neutered dogs. And the concept here is that we have an answer to overpopulation. We know what it is. We know it's spay and neutering. And for some reason, you know, it's men. I hate to admit that, but it's men. Men will spay any female dog. When it comes to neutering a male dog, you're not taking my dog's testicles.
Yeah.
And you know, after working with animals for over 30 years, I've yet to see one dog look under his tail and say, oh my God, my testicles are gone, what do I do now? So it's a male problem, it's never. And so there are so many things out there that could be resolved. For example, there's no reason. I mean, these dogs are adorable and they're lovable and they're going to find a home. I just hope for some reason that they don't wind up back here. And in terms of aggression, you know, I had the opportunity of working with a lot of the dogs that came back after Hurricane Katrina. In fact, I just was working with a Katrina dog just the other day, a little beagle. And I had the opportunity of working with some of the Vic dogs A lot of them were sent to Best Friends. Some of them were sent to Monterey SPCA. And a lot of behaviorists from around the country will come to me for advice. And I explained to them what to do. And everyone was on the position that these Michael Vick dogs, they're fighting dogs, nothing can be done. Almost every one of these dogs is a lovable, great dog. They're being rehabilitated. So I explained to people also, when you come into a shelter like this, you know, someone might go up to one of the cages in the back, and the dog may bark or hide in the corner. And I explained to people, that's not that dog. That dog's incarcerated right now. Even though it's a great place and he gets 3 square meals a day and he gets a lot of hugging and kissing and loving, that's not the real dog. What you need to do is get that dog out. So let me ask you the big question. A lot of shelters now, when people come in as potential adoptees, and that's your goal is to get as many people adopting as you want, I'm going to have the cleanest face in Arizona. One more kiss and I'm proposing. I'm telling you. When you find that people come in and they want to adopt a dog, do you sit down and try to explain to them that this is what you should be prepared for? And do you give them the opportunity to meet the dog outside of where the environment is? I noticed when I walked in here, one of the things I was impressed with is you have 2 little glass enclosed rooms. And that's a room where someone can go in and get to meet a dog before they make a decision and find out what the dog's really like without 20 other dogs barking around it.
Exactly. That's our Meet the Pet room. And our techs, they know the behavior of the animal, and they always share it with the customers. We encourage that they do an introduction to their own animal. We get lots of people that come in and get one of our dogs, and they'll take it out to walk and introduce it to their own dogs. We also have 2 areas outside where you can go sit with the dogs, and you don't have to hear all this barking and see all the other animals.
You know, we were just, before we came in here, we were walking in the back with you, we were looking at all the dogs in the kennels. And one by one, before you came back with me, I got down on my hands and knees and I got to kind of touch and play with each dog. And I said to Denise and Portia, I said, you know what, guys? There's not a dog here that shouldn't be in a home. Every single one of them was friendly and just wanted some positive attention and some loving and some caring. And so here's what I'm thinking. You know, I would say, and I'm giving you a statistic only off the top of my head, that probably 80 to 85% of dogs and cats that are turned into shelters, more so dogs, are turned in for behavioral reasons. And there's not a behavioral reason that can't be resolved. I can't make every dog Rin Tin Tin or Benji, but there's no need for those dogs to be Cujo either. Yeah, you don't have to be Cujo either. So the concept, and one of the things, and you know I offer to help you out with any behavioral stuff, but I think the most important thing is that the way you run this is that you have, and this is why I'm so impressed, is you have your staff here and your volunteers taking the time to educate the potential adoptee so that when they do adopt a dog, hopefully it's for a permanent situation. And I think that's what it's all about, because so many times these dogs, you know, they're adopted. My own, he's no longer with me, my own German Shepherd, Rio, I had for many years before he moved on to the Rainbow Bridge. Rio had 6 different homes before he wound up with me. 6 different homes, and you can imagine the trauma. Every time I left the house, he just assumed that I was one of those people that may not come back again. So, you know, I'm sure you hear the word, my dog has separation anxiety. How often do you hear that?
All the time.
And I hear, and even behaviorists talk about, your dog has separation anxiety. Well, you know, there's a difference between separation anxiety and abandonment issues. For example, a dog that was brought to the shelter by an owner in a car and turned into the shelter might have a phobia about riding in a car, because psychologically they learn through association. So the dog associates the car with losing someone it loved. And we all know that no matter how bad you treat them, they're going to love you no matter what. It's totally unconditional. And the worst thing for me is to see someone bring their dog into a shelter, or their cat. I'm saying dog a lot, but the same holds true for cats. Bringing their dog into a shelter, and then the owner walks out, and the dog just looks and says, where are you going? Are you never coming back for me? And anyone who thinks that a dog doesn't understand what's going on has no idea. They know what's going on. Cats too, and even cat behavioral problems are easy to resolve, but yet people don't want it. They have a revolving pet mentality. And I believe that, and I was joking before, and I guess I can say this on the air, but my thought in life is that if you come into my house and you pee and you kiss me, you're there for life, no matter what. In other words, whatever I got to do, you're there for life. And I hope more people out there. And let me end on this note. And first of all, let me just thank you. We're going to be doing a lot more work with you, Cindy, because I just love the way you run this place. Let me just say to my audience out there, you guys, if you're thinking about a pet, I know You watch the Westminster Kennel Club and now everyone wants a Scottish Deerhound. But let me tell you something. After you have a dog for 5 or 10 minutes, or after I have a dog for 5 or 10 minutes, I forget what they look like. I'm not in love with the outside. I'm in love with the inside. So my suggestion to you is go to your local shelter, find the dog or cat that you fall in love with, bring him home, get great advice or help from the local group like Cindy with low-cost spaying and neutering, behavioral advice, whatever you need, and bring these little guys into a home. I mean, what would be more important than giving a guy like this a smile? Are you still kissing me? What would be more important? There's no reason in the world that there is a homeless dog or a homeless cat around. And also, one more note here. For those people that make donations to humane societies and shelters, take my lead. Donate to your local humane society. Donate to your local shelter. They're the ones who take care of the pets locally. They're not funded by the big organizations, as you may think. So if you're thinking about making a donation or volunteering, volunteer, make that donation to your local organization. You know why? Because these guys will find a good home and it'll be